Welcome to a beautiful late summer's day in Melbourne. It's a Friday, I've got the day off work and I'm going for a bike ride. So it's a couple of weeks since I went on the ride to be never repeated, so hopefully this ride is going to be a bit more enjoyable. And there is some significance to today. So a year ago today I had an operation on my wrist to put a plate into my wrist after a car pulled across a bike path in front of me and I smashed my wrist into fragments, so I needed a plate. And I'm just celebrating today the fact that I have effectively fully recovered from that and I'm able to go out for a bike ride. So yeah, I'm sure it's going to be enjoyable. It's a beautiful day. I'll flick up the temperature forecast. It's still a bit cool now, but it's going to get quite warm later on. And I'm heading into the Dandenong Ranges and I'm going to do a climb which is well known to most cyclists apparently in Melbourne, the 1 in 20. I've read that a good time up it is 20 minutes. Well, actually I did this climb 3 years ago, and I found the time that it took me to get up there 3 years ago. Bearing in mind 20 minutes is a good time, it took me 35 minutes. I am so slow. So let's see, we'll see what we do today. But we're actually at the start. I'm actually at the start of an experiment, and the subject of the experiment is my body. So it's 20 years now since I started riding again. I say again, I mean prior to that really I just did a little bit of riding as a kid. So really it's 20 years that I've been riding for, and I'm quite interested to see with some training how my body adapts to being 20 years older. So how does a 67-year-old perform compared to a 47-year-old? All the information I can read tells me that I should be a basket case now. So my ability to take oxygen in and put it into my blood, my ability for my muscles to then take that oxygen in the blood and use it, the size of my muscles, everything is going downhill rapidly apparently at my age. So I'm just interested to see how we go. I've got 2 or 3 rides lined up over the next month, which will really give me a good indication of how I'm going. This is the first of those, and if everything goes okay, I'm planning to do quite a big event in a couple of months' time, which I'll talk about a bit later. But having said that, it may all turn to custard. It may well be that the science is correct and actually I was slow when I was 47, but I'm even slower now at 67, and really doing this event is just you know, a bit of a dream. So let's see how we go today, and then maybe next week there's another longer climb I want to do. So they're going to be my sort of benchmarks, I guess, in terms of just where I go from here. So see you later. Oh, by the way, must show you, got a new bike. For somebody like me who's a bit of a numbers nerd, what's great is it's got a power meter on it. So I'm able to see the weeny little watts that I'm putting out as I cycle along. Yeah, let's take the bike out and see how we go. Okay, so we're starting from a place called Gels Park, which is quite a big park, and I've been to it quite a few times, but I'm just not exactly sure where I am in the park. So I've got to try and find where to go to get to the start of the route. Okay, I think I figured it out. Going left here. So this should be about an 80-kilometer ride there and back. Maybe a bit less if, having done the big climb almost at the turnaround point, I decide I'm not gonna go back up the climb again, which is vaguely in my mind that I might do, depending on how I feel. And most of it should be on bike paths. The climb itself is on the road, but one of the reasons why I've chosen a Friday is hopefully it won't be as busy as at the weekend. Well, that was a bit optimistic of me saying that I think I've found the way out. I'm still cruising around this park. I haven't figured out where I need to go. It's pretty though. Okay, it's official. I know where I am. Finally. This is the point, coming in the other direction, where I turn around if I've cycled from home. So I just need to head down here a bit, head a left, and then I'm on to the route. Woohoo! Okay, just got through just over 12 kilometers now, and most of that time I've been heading north up a slight incline into a bit of a breeze alongside the East Link motorway. And it's taken me a little bit of time just to get into some sort of a rhythm. So we've got into a much quieter area now. I think there's a golf course to the left. So the thing about around here is there's lots of big motorways and train routes, and they've done a really good job of creating cycle paths that run alongside them. So don't get me wrong, it's cool that you can get off the road. Some of the rides I can do a 60-70 kilometer ride and only have 5 or 10 kilometers at most on a road. So the cycle paths are great, and they use areas like this, which is basically one of the sort of drainage flood areas. But it does mean that you're quite frequently riding alongside a lot of traffic, particularly on, you know, when you're going up alongside the motorways. And most of my 20 years of riding I've done in fairly rural areas in New Zealand. And even though I've been riding around Melbourne for three and a half years now, I still haven't really got used to it. You know, the number of cars, the traffic, whatever, traffic lights, having to stop, unclip, get back in. So I'm happy that they've got these cycle routes. It's much better than Auckland. You know, Auckland is terrible compared to Melbourne. But yeah, still getting used to them. So on the way out on this ride, it's steadily uphill all the way to a place called the Basin, which is basically at the foot of the Dandenong Ranges, and that's where the climb starts from. So the climb goes up, I think officially it's about 7k. It might be nearer to 10k by the time you've got around, because I'm doing a bit of a loop after I've got over the top. And then I might, as I say, go back up the hill again, and then I head back, and it's basically just a repeat of where I've been. So it's steadily downhill, and I think I'll have the wind behind me, so I'm getting a double bonus on the way back. So hopefully at some point we'll be able to see the Dandenong Ranges. Until then, I'll save my battery and your time. When we first got to Melbourne, we lived reasonably central, and for about a year and a half I really struggled to find work, so I bought a bike and did some riding, and I came out this way a few times, and it's quite familiar even though it's 2 or 3 years ago. So I knew that this little underpass was coming up, and I think I used to go down there to the right, but the map is telling me to keep on going. So let's follow the map. Now, this is not quite what I expected. I saw on the map there's something about a statue for a famous old cyclist. Well, I guess he wasn't old when he cycled, but he would be now. But we can't find out anything about him because the plaque has disappeared. So let's just have a look. I think he's called Hubert Opperman, something like that. I will check later and no doubt correct myself. But when I saw on the map that there was this statue here, I expected something a bit bigger. I mean, just to put into context, here's my hand. "22 kilometers into the ride. I'm on what's called the Basin Trail now, which I guess means I'm heading to the basin, which is the start of the climb. There's probably, oh, actually it's telling me that I've got to climb starting at 144 meters, which goes for 11 kilometers. I don't think I'm too far away now. I remember this from the first time I did it. There's this bike path that's just horrible because it's crisscrossing roads. Some of it's actually quite steep uphill. So you're working quite, I'm just weird obviously, but I just find I need to get into a rhythm to climb, otherwise I get really uncomfortable. I mean, I get uncomfortable when I'm in a rhythm, but I'm even more uncomfortable when I'm out of a rhythm. And I cannot get in a rhythm when I'm going on bike paths like this. And of course you could say, well, just go on the road, but yeah, if there's a bike path, I don't want to go on the road. And the road's actually reasonably busy, and there's not a lot of room at the side for bikes, so I should just stop moaning and get on with it. Yep, this is it. So I need to get into my rhythm, which is a bit difficult when there's cars all queued up here. Here we go. It's a bit urban down at the bottom, isn't it? And despite the fact that I thought I'd avoid the traffic on a Friday, it's quite busy. Let's see how it works out a bit later. Getting a little bit less urban now. Still quite a bit of traffic though. Not actually sure how far I've gone. But I'm getting a bit puffed. Gradient just picking up a bit here. Constant stream of traffic. Hate this. Imagine what it's like on a Saturday. It would be made even worse by the fact that I would be constantly getting passed by other cyclists. Like that one. Going twice as fast as me. Guess that's what you need to do if you want to get under 20 minutes. Now it's pretty. The gum trees and the sun, and no traffic. Okay, made it up the hill. I'm in Sassafras now. So mountain highway, where those cars are going down. That's where I've just come up. Now I've got to go straight up the road there. Another 150 meters of climbing before I start to descend back down to the basin. And I can tell you, there's no way I'm coming back up. Remember I said I was thinking about I might do it? No way. I could not have gone any harder up that hill. I have an idea what the time was, but I'm going to wait until I get back to check it. Suffice to say, it was not within 20 minutes. Okay, I'm over the top, I'm heading downhill. I've just had to pull over because there was a stream of traffic behind me. The roads are just too narrow for cars to go past. I think I'm turning left here. Hopefully it'll be a bit quieter. Okay, let's see what this is like. I'm not totally comfortable going downhill at speed at the moment. Oh my god, it says it's a gravel road. You are joking me. What? Oh, I'm probably going to have to turn around now and go all the way back down where I've just come up. How far do I go? Just to see whether or not it does turn into gravel. So far so good, but it's a long way back. It's telling me in 600 meters I'm supposed to turn onto something called God's Track. That does not sound too promising. There's God's Track to the right. Why is it telling me to go down there? And yet It's turned unsealed. I can't believe having come all this way sealed, but it's going to turn unsealed. Okay. So, big question. How long is it going to be unsealed for? Because that's a long way to go back up. Decided to turn around. I think it's mainly downhill from now on. Retrace my route. I've done just under 800 metres of climbing, and means quite a bit more climbing. So I'm heading back to Sassafras. I'm going to go down the 1 in 20 hill that I climbed up, and then I'm heading back. Just before we get into the wrap-up of the ride, I've done a bit of research on the guy whose statue we were looking at, Hubert Hoppy. So he deserved a bigger statue, I'm telling you. He went over to Europe, and he rode in Europe in the 1920s and 1930s. He rode the Tour de France in 1929 and 1931, and in those days, the average stage length on the tour was about 300 kilometres. So he got a reputation as being a real strong endurance rider. He actually won races over there. He became quite well known in the cycling community. And then on retiring from like professional cycling, he became the Minister for Immigration for Australia. He lived until he was 91. And he actually rode his bike until he was 90. So he's pretty inspirational, particularly for me, trying to work out just how much longer I can keep on going for on my bike. So yeah, Hoppy deserved a bigger statue, and he certainly needs that plaque putting back so that people can read about him when they walk past. Right then, the morning after, time for a quick wrap up of the ride. So, would I do it again? Probably not. Just a little bit too much traffic on that climb for my liking. I know for a lot of people in the Melbourne area that would probably be a quiet road. But for me, any car that comes up behind me and is going to go past me has the potential to kill me. So I like to minimize how many cars are coming up behind me. And for me, that was just too many. So I think I've got to head further out. The Dandenong Ranges are really close to the urban area. So there's just obviously a lot of people and traffic moving around. So, yep, won't go back there in a hurry. And in terms of the ride, I never really, I talked on the ride about getting into a rhythm. I never really got into a rhythm, actually. It was a bit, to me, it just felt a bit disjointed. So going up the climb, my average heart rate was 161, which is pretty close to my threshold. It probably is at my threshold, actually. Which means I don't think I could have gone much harder. So I was way off the 20-minute sort of benchmark, which seems to be set for that climb. So just under 30 minutes, actually, 29 minutes, 57 seconds. So I'll take it that it's in the 20s, but it's still, for me to get down to 20 minutes, just impossible. But let's look on the bright side. Quicker than 3 years ago, 35 minutes, 20 seconds back then. So definitely an improvement. So let's see how we go when I do the next climb, which is, I think it's probably going to be a bit steadier, and it's a longer climb and higher. So positives are hopefully I can get into a nice rhythm, not much traffic because it's going to be quieter, but obviously it's a bigger climb. So I suppose probably by the time I've done that climb, I'll have a good sense of just whether or not it's really worth pushing on with the training to try and do this ride in a couple of months' time. I suspect at the moment the decision's going to be pull the pin, but we'll see. So that's it from me for now. See you on the next ride.